Hello, beautiful Earth Angels. Welcome to Team Joanna. My name is Joanna. If you are new to my channel, welcome. I hope you like what you hear. And if you do, I do hope you stay, maybe even subscribe. And if you find this information helpful, this channel helpful, then perhaps send it to a friend who may benefit from it as well. It helps me spread the word, if you will. And I must be honest, I am not very good at asking for things, and I'm being made. Well, nobody's making me, but it's being heavily suggested that I ask for your help, and that is not. I'm just realizing that is not a very comfortable thing for me to do. Wow. I didn't even realize how much. Wow. Okay. So whenever this happens while recording, then that tells me that I am making myself as an example for you to hopefully follow in my footsteps if you like where I'm going. And right now, I'm allowing myself to be very vulnerable and to ask for help, because without your help, I can't do what I'm here to do. And what I'm here to do includes every single one of us. It is all about shifting awareness, or helping us shift awareness. And if nobody's listening, then there's less chance that this information will help a person shift their awareness. And they just said, beautifully said. So I'm partially channeling this already. And if you are on board with that, if you would like to help me to spread the word, then I would appreciate it. And they would appreciate it a lot. Without your generosity, nothing is possible. And that message is, there's so much in it. This is going to be a weekly pulse, and I feel it is flowing very differently than any other time. And the reason why I'm saying this to you, because I feel many of you will feel this energy. It's very strong, it's very potent, it's not heavy in terms of heaviness or negativity, it's the opposite, but it's really, really, really big. So because of its bigness, it feels weighty, like it's, wow, a lot. And this sort of energy, which is very high in vibration, very, very, very high, and we are not used to it. I am certainly not used to it, not to this extent. It may make us feel slightly overwhelmed. And I'm being reminded, I talked about this in my last live for water signs. And as a matter of fact, one of the cards came up, and there was very few cards that I used. So if you are a water sign, chances are you'll hear something from that channeled message. But even if you're not a water sign, that transmission was very much heavy on releasing. And I feel like the topic continues. So this ginormous energy, this enormous frequency, is to help us shift and move past certain current awarenesses. And moving past a certain awareness simply means we are moving into new awareness or different awareness. The words that are flowing with this are embrace and allow. If you experience feeling this energy where you feel overwhelmed, and especially if you are not grounded. So maybe I should start first with saying that it's extremely important that we practice getting grounded. It is absolutely important. It's not important just for today and for the next week, and obviously way beyond that. This will continue at least for the next, I want to say, decade. It's like we're entering a different era, except the era is not in age. The era is in frequency. We're entering a different frequency. So we will, but that's not news to anybody. But the point I'm trying to make is that it is important that we stay grounded, because grounding our bodies, grounding our mind, grounding our energy is what helps us hold this huge frequency. Otherwise, we may feel like we are being pulled apart. In other words, we may feel like we're all over the place, anxious, riddled with fear and worry. And the irony is that this energy is the opposite of fear and worry, but because it's so powerful, if your own worries and fears are not put on the side and grounded, this potent energy will trigger it. And it kind of reminds me of a saying that something so good can feel uncomfortable. And I've talked about this in the last little while. So it seems to be a theme. I would love for you to comment, to let me know if you have been experiencing this. And this, like I said, this energy I feel like we're barely touching the surface here, barely. We're really just stepping into this energy, and the further we step into it, the more it's amplified, the more power it has. So we need to make sure that we are ready, and the readiness is simply allowing ourselves to be in a calmer state of mind, because the awareness affects the mind, the frequency affects the mind, it affects everything. So what does that mean? It means putting a pause, or at least a pause, on frequent worries and frequent fears. Now, how do we put a pause on a fear or a worry? We don't just press the pause button. That's not how it works. We push it away. We try not to deal with it. We run away from it. We want to fix it. We want to buy something to make that go away. So that's one way, except I'm being funny when I say that, because you know that's not going to work. Okay? Also, this powerful energy is the opposite of fear and worry. So pausing it makes no sense, because where we're going is the opposite of that, which means you can't take this with you. You can't take it with you. You have to release your baggage. And it is as important now as it is to breathe. That's how important it is. And I'm going, wow, that's a pretty punchy statement. It's meant to be punchy. It's meant to have an effect. Not because if we don't drop the weight, something bad is going to happen. No, life will just continue. But the longer we stay weighted down with weight, the less, what's the word? The less ability we have to benefit from this high frequency, not to mention that it becomes continually very difficult, because there's a lot of resistance, because we are moving into this frequency. There's just no way around it. It's like, you're going to wake up tomorrow and it's going to be a day, usually. It's happening. It's happening. Okay? And that frequency is much higher and lighter. Higher in vibration, therefore lighter, feels lighter. Anything that's weighing us down, it's got to be looked at, addressed, and moved through. I said it. Move through. Which means to move through something, we generally have to face it. Okay? And I'm going, this sounds like it's some kind of a, funky message. And not at all. It's actually the opposite. What's being amplified is just how powerful this space of time is right now, where so many things can be changed and implemented and upgraded and then benefited from in the future. So if you've been running away from your problems, problem is they go with you. So if you've been running away from your problems, whatever they may be, small, large, big, in between, over the next little while, take your time with it. Make a commitment to yourself to face them. Okay? And by facing them, you are being brave. And some of you may say, well, I don't want to be brave. And I'm saying, well, you kind of have no choice. Eventually, you'll have to face it. Because remember, we're all going in this new direction that is higher in frequency, much higher in frequency. Our problems are often symptoms of conflict, inner conflict. Okay? Inner conflict weighs us down. It's like if you're a bird and you have a little weight attached to your little foot, you'll fly, but you're not going to fly as high or as long. Okay, so your flight will not be nearly as enjoyable, and it's actually going to be a lot of hard work, which shouldn't be, because you're meant to fly. It comes naturally to you. And obviously that's a metaphor. So maybe over the next week, make a list and put it somewhere where you can see, where your eyes can look at it, so there is no way of escaping it. Because if it's in your head, it's easy to just, and make yourself a promise at looking at whatever things you want to address in your life, whatever problems you have been running away from. And this could be anything from dealing with lack of confidence to not facing your boss at work because you're afraid. So a fear is going to hold you back from voicing something that's important to you, right? And it may be a very valid fear, but the point is that as long the fear is there, it's like it's your master. It's always going to have control over you. And I don't know about you, but usually people don't like to be controlled. People like to control. Well, no, I shouldn't say that. People have difficulties with the idea of control. We generally don't like to be controlled, except in certain situations. Generally speaking, an individual who is emotionally balanced doesn't really crave being controlled. Okay? That's what I'm getting. So the energy that's supporting us in all of this is so beautiful, is the energy of alchemy. What strikes me about this first and foremost are the colors, which are orange and red. Chakra number 1, chakra number 2. Safety, security, self-worth, trust, feeling being a part of something, all those wonderful things that makes us human, feel alive, okay? Feeling supported. And when I looked at this card, I heard, or I felt that this represents all our different aspects coming back together, meaning nothing is being pushed away from ourselves. We're coming back together as a whole. So if there's anything that you are holding on to in your life, for example, if there's something you don't like about yourself, generally we reject that part. We don't embrace it. Some people do, yes, but most people don't. They try to get rid of it. And we all have aspects of ourselves where we kind of shoved on the side and said, I don't want to deal with you. Generally because those aspects of ourselves are tied to some form of a pain or fear. Okay. But we are moving more into a space of inner unity, and of course outer unity. The other word I get is integration. It's as if we are coming back home, except it's not a physical state. It's a state of awareness, where we feel safe and cared for, but it goes beyond the physicality. Okay? It's an extraordinarily powerful energy, and some of you I know will feel this. Some of you may be tired after this transmission because it lands quite, it's substantial. It's substantial. Okay? I'm being asked to read this here, and it says, the frequency of alchemy activates our magical ability and remembrance of the magic that we all hold inside. Each one of us has this potential to access the ancient knowledge that allowed the true alchemist to perform the miracle of transmutation. Okay. So this is an energy that is very supportive of all the inner aspects of ourselves that we have previously rejected or neglected to come together as a unified one. And the word that comes with that is unconditional love and self-acceptance. Okay? That's the energy that's supportive. Which means, if you are holding on to any negative self-belief, which is a belief you have about you, that reduces your ability to shine, that weighs you down so you can't spread your wings and fly, so that it limits how you see, so you see very narrowly and you don't have the benefit of experiencing beyond that. If you are holding on to anything that limits you in any way, look at those things, find the root of that, and begin to release it. What does it mean to begin to release it? That's a very good question somebody just asked, or will ask, I should say. So what I'm being asked to say is that to release is to let go of something. To let go of something means there is no attachment. Okay? There's no attachment. Attachment stems generally from a need. So to release something means you will no longer rely on it, or you don't need it anymore. Which means whatever the it is that you are releasing will not be robbing you of your energy, will not be feeding off of your energy. You will not be giving it energy. Okay? So for example, if you had an unsupportive parent, let's stick with the idea of mother because that's very prominent right now. If you had an unsupportive mother, as an example, when you were growing up, and as a result of her unsupport, because she couldn't give it to you for whatever reason, you grow up not believing in yourself as much as you potentially could. That would have negatively impacted you in your life because you would be holding yourself back in everything you do. And you wouldn't be thinking about it that way. Oh, I'm holding myself back. It just would be a natural thing you would do. And let's say right now, one of those things that you put on the list is your ability to attract more money, okay, as an idea. But in order for you to attract more money, you have to be in the vibration of whatever money represents to you, whether it's freedom, whether it's opulence, whether it's safety, security, whatever it is, okay? So if your vibration is not matching the idea of money, if your vibration inside says, I am not secure enough or I am not good enough because you had a mother who didn't support you that way, didn't give you confidence, then your idea would be to let go of your identity of feeling not good enough or not secure enough or not confident enough, okay? Now, why would you ever want to hold on to not feeling secure? Quite simply, it's because it's part of your identity. You don't know any different. It's who you are. It's what you do. You don't think about it. Which means it's so important in your life, you rely upon it to the point where you don't have to think about it anymore. It just happens naturally, like breathing. Okay? When you release something, according to my team, you let go of the attachment you had to it. In other words, you recognize that you had a mother who didn't support you the way she could in order to help you grow up, feel very, very confident and very self-assured. You still have that part of you that feels unsure, but you also understand that you're not that person, you never were, you just didn't know any different. And now you're tapping into the part of you that is the true you, which is the one with more awareness, higher awareness. And what begins to happen is you will be aware of this part of you that's in you, because it's a part of you. But this part of you will feel so small that for the most part, it's not even going to get triggered. So it's still there, but it's not triggering you to the point where you would hold yourself back. So according to my team, that's signified as release, okay? That is their definition. Somebody asked that question before, what does it mean to let go? And so let me know what you think of that. I can't claim it's mine. It's not mine. I interpreted it. It's not mine. But if I was asked if I wanted it, I would say, yeah, sure. That, you know what? I can deal with that. I can deal with that. In fact, it actually confirms what I've been questioning just the other day. So thank you for answering my question, by the way. I love how that works. So sometimes appears I get my answers, my personal answers, through public channel. Isn't that interesting? Anywhere they can get to me, that's true. All I have to do is be open. What happens when we embrace all of ourselves? What happens when we begin to accept? First of all, magic happens. But second of all, we shift the relationship we have with ourselves. We become much more balanced people. So this represents a union between a man and a woman in this picture. To me, I'm taking it bigger, represents the balance, the yin and yang. Okay. So if you are someone who has been suppressing your own feminine side, male and female, and you are aware of it and you know it, for example, feeling stuck is also often a result of suppressing something and not allowing that something to come and play. So to unstuck yourself often means to allow a certain aspect of you come out of hiding. Actually, I never thought about it that way. Okay, that I can certainly take that. So this symbolizes the flow, even flow of masculine and feminine. So if you're a male or female suppressing your feminine or masculine, either or, in whichever order, your responsibility right now is to A, recognize it and to learn about it. In other words, why do you suppress? Okay. Maybe that's one of the things on the list that you would like to take care of over the next few months. To recognize what you are suppressing and to learn about why you are suppressing. And then once you learn about it, what are you going to do about it? Because once you know something, it gives you an opportunity to do something with it, right? That's the awareness. Awareness allows us to create more. Okay? Some of you may get excited seeing this card, seeing a person in a relationship. So if that boosts you up, absolutely, that's an energy that you might be attracting. But this represents relationships with ourselves. Okay? The next card is what appeared in the water sign life message, and it's soul fragments, number 33. So you might be seeing repeating numbers. I see them all the time, even in the middle of the night. And this card symbolizes to me being in transition, being in mental transition that affects the universal flow into your heart, and it obviously affects your heart. So mental transformation allows for our hearts to be more open, where there can be greater flow of energy. Flow in and flow out. Okay? For some of us, in order for the flow in and flow out occur but in a balanced way, some things need to be released. Okay? And those are generally old memories that we're often not even aware of, which affect how we think and what we believe. Okay? I also see this, just the way it's shown to me, it almost looks like a membrane. It almost looks like a membrane that is covering something that's about to be born. This is a very exciting time for us. I felt very many powerful energies. I've even channeled Thoth completely impromptu, and that was quite something. So this would be similar, very powerful energy, but it's softer. It's much softer. It's when I channeled Thoth a few years ago, it just came. There was no preparation, nothing. I was recovering for 3 days after, because just the immense electricity that comes with it being that high vibrating, it does a toll on its body. So this is an extra message for those of you who are working with high frequencies. You need to get your body to a point where you can handle word please, holding that energy for any extended period of time. So this is a little bit of a veering off the subject here, but it just occurred to me that I took up kind of sort of bodybuilding about 20 years ago, I guess. Something just tweaked in my brain. And then some years into it, I was not a bodybuilder, but I like working with my body, building my body. And I realized one day that the subconscious reason why I was drawn to it is so that my body would be substantial enough to hold some sort of a high frequency. And I'm being reminded right now of this thought I had years ago, right now. So for some of you, and for me, physical activity like that with weights is what grounds me. My body feels very grounded. So if you're working with high frequencies or would like to, all you have to do is ask, but you have to get your body ready. You have to, because it's electricity, it's electric. Your body has to handle it. So if you are someone who is highly anxious, working with high frequency it can be not a great experience, because you won't be able to handle it. And I'm purely saying what I'm being asked to say, okay? It's like, and I'm having a conversation, what about angels and archangels? It feels different. It's like, I've worked with archangels before, but they don't come into me the same way this energy does. It's different. It's different. This one is more palatable. Angel frequency, it feels different to me, so I can distinguish the difference. So maybe working with a collective, with a high collective, and to hold that energy, that frequency for any extended period of time. Maybe that's what it is. Not angels or guides, but like high consciousness. That's because you essentially are working with light. So your body needs to be able to hold this light. If your body energetically is not used to that, it's difficult. It takes a toll on the body. And I know nothing of this as true. I am purely channeling this. So somebody needs to know this. And I said this yesterday. So these guys are trying to get to you guys. And thank you. Okay, so this is also an invitation for those of you who are curious, maybe about the work that I do. I didn't ask for it. It just kind of showed up one day. But it took me many years to get myself to a point where it could show up this way. So if you are interested in working with high frequencies, all you have to do is ask, and the universe will provide opportunities for you to learn how. And one of the first things you must put in that is grounding. Absolutely essential. Absolutely essential. Wow, they're really focusing on the idea of grounding. Because remember, we are physical beings moving to higher vibrations, right? We will still remain physical beings, just in a higher vibrations. So our bodies need to be grounded, need to feel more solid, not physically solid, just grounded, right? I felt this as a beautiful message because it shows us that we are absolutely at an end of a cycle. 10 to me represents a cycle. We know that, right? We know that. We're moving, I believe, to Aquarian age, if I'm not mistaken. And what this is telling me is that we are being helped. And I've talked about this. I mean, as a matter of fact, every time I channel information is because these beings are using me as a vehicle to help humanity. And yes, I've signed up for it. Yes, I made that choice, apparently. Not sure if I would make that choice consciously, but apparently on some level I made that choice. And I'm okay with it. I don't fight it anymore. I used to fight it a lot. Did I really fight it a lot? They just said I was relentless. What can I say? The fear was too big. They're saying the fear was too big. It was over. The fear was consuming me. The fear of what's going to happen if I do this was consuming me. So apparently it's because we all have, many of us have. I lost my life for doing this type of work in other lifetimes. So doing what I do is not necessarily tied to something pleasant, in my DNA. But our DNA is shifting apparently. So something about light codes. Okay, that's a whole different conversation. So we are being helped. As a matter of fact, thank you for picking the cards. I work with the Arcturians. They showed up at my door a year ago or so. And they announced that they would like to work with me to help us. So it took me a while to kind of be okay with that, because at first I thought I was crazy. So some of you may feel like you're crazy, or like you will have moments where you're thinking to yourself, I've lost my mind. I'm talking to somebody in my head. I've lost my mind. I'm telling you, ground yourself. We've got some amazing opportunities coming in to be able to work with other dimensions. And I'm saying this like it's nothing, like it's no big deal. And I'm going, really? How did that happen? Because a few months ago, I would have never just said this. It just kind of came out of me. I suppose it's because I'm realizing it's such a natural part. It's so natural. It's weirdly as it sounds, it's so natural. Yeah, it's part of who we are. It's natural for us to be able to communicate with all these beings. Because of course, thank you. Because we're all connected. We're all connected. What disconnects us is our low vibration, the mental clutter, our 3D thinking, all that kind of stuff. So if you're a healer, channeler, or would like to be a healer or channeler, all you have to do is ask. And the question might be, what is required of me to be a clear channel? What is required of me to be a clear channel? I didn't know we were going to go with this direction. This is a surprise for me. Each one of you is unique. So how you will channel and what you will channel will be unique. What will be unique, not necessarily the information, but the interpretation of the information. So the way I express whatever they want to say is very unique to me, Joanna. It has Joanna flavor. And that information coupled with how I express it will connect with certain individuals. With some individuals, it won't even register. Okay? So make sure that you don't try to be like somebody, which is the mistake we all make. I certainly have and still do once in a while. I compare myself to the next person who channels, and it's like, why would you need two of the same? It makes no sense. What for? Do a different flavor. Be more original. Which means own your uniqueness, for God's sake. Own your uniqueness. And don't be fooled. I'm talking to myself here as well, because I far too easily and too quickly want to put myself in a box, because I come from a lot of boxes, and that's restricted thinking, right? We're all unique. So we will express our unique gifts very uniquely. You can have two channelers with equal gift, channeling things differently. That's just the way it is. That's why when you go, okay, makes sense. That's why when you go to different psychics or different healers or different mediums, oftentimes they will say different things. It's like they're seeing from their own individual perspective. I like that. Okay. And of course, some things will repeat. So this card represents spirit. We're all unique. Be unique. Don't try to be like somebody else. Last card. To give of yourself freely must come from a space of having more than enough. If you are giving of yourself, but you come from a space of scarcity, then you're going to be thinking that there is not enough for you. You're going to think that you're going to have fears around not being able to get something in return. That's interesting. So the message is, first give to yourself freely. Once you give to yourself and you realize that you are a source of unlimitedness, from that space, give as much as you want to give. Because you're not coming from scarcity, you're not coming from fear of not having it, which is scarcity. You're coming from a place where you always know there is enough. And it's not this, it's awareness. Think about it this way. If we all had an awareness that we could have, we're always supplied for, we're always taken care of, we're always supported, and we didn't have fears around not being able to pay enough rent, not being able to buy food, not having enough of this or that. If we didn't have that, just imagine, if we didn't have that, how the world would be different. I can't even imagine how different the world would be. Yet apparently this is where we're heading. Now that's exciting. Where there's no competition. There is a healthy competition where you want to kind of show yourself, but there is no competing better, you're better than somebody else, or where that consciousness doesn't even exist. And apparently there are consciousness like that exist. I want some of that too. I don't know about you, but I want some of that. Which means in order for me to get that, I have to release something, right? I have to release the idea that I am not enough, that you are not enough, that we are not enough somehow. If you are holding on to a belief that you are not enough, or you're afraid of judgment, people are going to judge you, what are they going to say? And how what they're going to say will affect you negatively. If you're holding on to that, you're not going to give of yourself freely. You're going to filter yourself. So if you're a channeler, if you are a healer, you are a vehicle to energy. If you're holding on to scarcity belief about you or the world, you as a channel will not be channeling as freely. You'll have a tendency to hold yourself back. It certainly is my journey, absolutely, putting myself out there and being just completely open. I'm actually realizing that I don't feel I've ever been this open. Like, I feel the openness. It's just going right through me. And I'm realizing I'm weirdly enough okay with it. Wow, that's interesting. That's interesting. I'm having an epiphany. I've been having those lately when I do lives or recorded content. Anyway, I think that's all I have. Very powerful message. Whatever you get out of this is wonderful. Please do comment how you felt this energy come through. I didn't know what we were going to talk about this morning until I actually sat down and just got myself ready, and I heard, "You ready? You ready?" It's like, really? That's it? I'm ready? It's the weirdest thing. I'm telling you, it's the head that gets in the way. And I see it. It's so clear. So do some of the things that were suggested, and I think you'll find it immensely helpful. If you would like more of my content, obviously, look at all the other videos. I have an Instagram page, Joanna the Healer. I do daily pulses. And if you're a member of the private Facebook page, thank you so much for being here. If you're not, it's a private Facebook page. You can click down below to join. I have an exciting announcement coming in the next little while, I feel is going to be very exciting. So thank you so much for giving me your time and energy. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I can't wait to do this again with you. I'm doing a live on Tuesday, which is July 28th, I think, or 29th. And so if you're going to be there, I'll see you there. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.